Are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. I have to, yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation.
Steph Curry thinks he's better than Magic Johnson. And that clip right there was posted just about 5 days ago. And it has sparked the conversation that needs to be had. That's not the rundown, beat up LeBron versus Michael Jordan. Who is the best point guard ever? We've had a lot of great point guards throughout the year, but Stephen Curry and Magic Johnson seem to be the guys in the conversation. As you heard from Steph himself, that's the conversation, right? Steph Curry thinks he's the greatest point guard ever. And there are others that think he is the greatest, and there are others that don't think he's the greatest. For example, Shaquille O'Neal thinks that Steph Curry is the best point guard ever.
You have to say he's the best point guard ever. Having a discussion with my guy Jamal Crawford, not a traditional point guard. I'm like, bro, but he's listed as a point guard.
You putting him over Magic?
Yes. Yes, of course I am. Yeah, you heard it here first.
But he's not a traditional point guard. That's a good point.
The game has evolved. His position says point guard.
But I don't know if it's because of recency bias, but what Steph Curry has managed to do in the last few years, he's really, in the last decade, he cemented himself as the best, if not number two, right? It's one of those two. Remember, Shaquille O'Neal is from a different time period, right? Shaquille O'Neal's from the 90s. So he's an old head, right? But even he thinks that Steph Curry is the best point guard ever. But we have other old heads that don't think that's the case. For example, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was revealed by Stephen A. Smith on First Take. He said that Magic Johnson is the best point guard ever, and that is because of how you define the point guard role. If you talk about simply the point guard role, then Magic Johnson is the best point guard ever because he passed like no other. I mean, he created the Showtime Lakers, right? So there's an argument to be made about either one of the two, but who's the best point guard ever? I think in order to answer that question, we have to do this. Let's take each of those point guards and put them on their separate teams. So let's take Stephen Curry and let's put them on the 1980s Laker. How would the Los Angeles Lakers fare if that were the case? And how would the Golden State Warriors fare from the 2010s if Magic Johnson was the running man for them? And this will really help answer that question because I think that, in my opinion, it has to be Stephen Curry. I think it has to be Stephen Curry because he does everything well. Like Steph Curry does every single thing perfectly. Let alone point guard, I think Steph Curry is just a better overall player than Magic Johnson is. That's just my opinion. I think he's just more talented and he's just a better player, right? But if we were to put him on a 1984 Los Angeles Lakers, how do they fare? The Showtime Lakers, how would they fare? I think they would be as good or even better if Steph Curry was running point for them. Because, like I said, Steph Curry does everything well. Steph Curry doesn't only just shoot the ball really well, he passes really well. He can run in transition as well as Magic Johnson did. Like all the things that Magic Johnson is praised for, right? Is being 6'10". His height at the point guard spot was one of the factors of why he was so good, right? But you go back and you watch highlights of the Showtime Lakers. The things that Magic Johnson are doing, they're impressive, but they're not impressive enough to say that Steph Curry couldn't do those. Everything that I see Magic Johnson do on the Showtime Lakers, I think if I were to take him out and put Steph Curry in there, the show would go on. But that's not the case for Magic Johnson, right? It's a different era. Magic Johnson, he'd be a good player, but I don't know how good he would be in today's era, right? But I guess that goes to show that today's era is only today's era because Steph Curry made it today's era. Being able to shoot from any distance and literally making the big man, the center, almost irrelevant if they can't shoot. So I'm not going to put Magic Johnson in that kind of NBA in which three-point shooting is the norm because Steph Curry made it that way. So if he wasn't on the Golden State Warriors, it wouldn't have been a thing. Yeah, if I were to take Magic Johnson and put him on the Golden State Warriors, how many championships do they even win? I think that maybe they win one, but that goes to show you just the difference between Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Steph Curry not only is a good point guard, he's a tremendous player. I think he's a better player than Magic Johnson, right? I think he's just more talented. And I think the reason Magic Johnson gets a lot of credit, a lot of people have brought this up, is because of how the team that Magic Johnson inherited. When Magic Johnson got drafted, and the Lakers had Hall of Famers. They had Kareem, they had James Worthy. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was already winning MVPs, right? They were already crushing everyone, and Magic Johnson comes in there. It's comparable to Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. That's the kind of team that Magic Johnson inherited.